18 months ago, India, England, New Zealand and Pakistan were rightful semi-finalists to the last T20 World Cup in Australia. Fast forward to today, and only India has qualified for the Super 8s. New Zealand has been knocked out by a team that didn't even qualify for the last two World Cups in the West Indies. More on that later, don't you worry. And England and Pakistan are on the brink, relying on USA and Scotland to do them a favour. It's a changing of the guard for everyone except India, who just keep doing what they do, winning. Will they win the big one? We'll find out in a week or so.
Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
This is your T20 World Cup wrap-up show called The Good, The Bad and The Land of the Free, brought to you by Maximum Cricket, powered by Dominos Pizza. The show is wrapping up all the action of the T20 World Cup into a bite-sized show twice a week. My name is Matt Hunter, or Munter for short. This is my co-host, Jackson Latham. Jacko, before we get into the good and the bad, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. That was the Caps game. It's no surprises that we are avid Caps fans, so it's been a tough sort of day. Fresh in the memory bank, only a few hours, so bear with us. Quick rundown. West Indies 149 for 9. Rutherford the star 68 red off 39. Bolt was the pick of the bowlers 3 for 16 off 4 in reply. New Zealand could only manage 136 for 9. Phillips was the lone man with 40 off 33. Joseph took 4 for 19 off his 4. But there was more to it than those numbers. The biggest story was that the Windies were 30 for 5, then 76 for 7. And then they took 37 off the last 2 overs. Then there was just this air of inevitability into that chase where you just felt like the Caps were never in the game. And to lose the game by 13 was probably just flattering, as they were never really in the game at all. Jacko, your initial visceral thoughts as the game was sort of drifting away this afternoon, New Zealand time?
Well, it's a sad day. It's a bad day. Not. There's a lot to unpack, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I was sort of at the gym and watching, like, tracking along. It was like fucking perfect, just what we need to do. And then 70 for 7 became 80 for 7, became 90 for 7, and then I think we're 100. We got the next week at 8 at 103, and I thought, bang bang, I'm happy. They scrapped to 120, 130. Things are going to get dicey. They got 150, and I don't think we got close. I don't think that's 13. I think, growing up on Test cricket and one-day cricket, I don't know if I'm still fully adjusted to winning margins in T20 cricket. I don't think, you see 13, you go, oh shit, that must have been like close, or that was a good one there. But when you sort of unpack it and you were on the ride for it, that 13 could have been 200 by how sort of far away we were from winning that. So yeah, sad day, bad day to be a Caps fan, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was a wave of emotions that you can't escape when it's your side. Like, obviously, we saw this coming. Like, we sort of predicted this would happen a while ago, and it's eventuated that way. But I don't think it makes it doesn't, just because you're right doesn't mean that it makes you feel better. No. Because when you're sort of watching, you're still hoping that you're wrong. You're still hoping that, Kane will get us through. Conway will get us through. Someone will get us through. This is what normally happens. Like, we don't sort of lose like this. We don't lose back to back sort of like this. We'll find a way. This is just what happens. No. And then that's what it felt like at the start. It felt like this last ditch effort from the experienced sides. Though we're not going anywhere. It felt like that Wolf of Wall Street, arms aloft. Like, we're not fucking leaving. Like, you thought we were leaving? No, we've got one last dig in us. And then it's sort of like West Indies rode the wave and realised there wasn't a lot left. That was their last ditch. That was the last effort, that new ball spell, and then they sort of worn us down, and eventually there was just nothing left of the era, and it was kind of sad. So the squad selections were strange because the game sort of, the difference between the two sides was the last 2 overs, 37 off 2 overs at the death. Any time Daryl Mitchell has to bowl an over, someone's fucked up. Whether that's Kane, whether that's Gary Stead, who's picked the team, something's gone horribly wrong where they have to bowl Daryl Mitchell at the death. And I don't know what it is, because for whatever reason, Santner only bowled 2 overs. He got his second over was was the last over. So I don't know what's going on, whether they picked the wrong conditions. Because Neesham bowled well, Southey bowled, Ferguson bowled well, but other than that, it just turned to shit at the last 2 overs. So, just Daryl Mitchell should not be bowling.
Yeah, I think there just seems to be a, I mean, I don't know. We fucked it. It's hard to put into words, as you say. This is probably what it felt like. Sort of maybe watching Jordan play for the Wizards a little bit. You want it to be good. You want him to get number 7 with another team. I don't know. It's hard to like put your finger on how. Not like just like you are watching. It feels like you are watching a little bit the end of an era. And I think as Caps fans, you and I, we've talked about this in the past. Like, this is probably the greatest era we would have watched in our lifetime. So, pre this, it was always, fuck, when are we going to get good? And if we lost, it was like, it's all right. But like, this is a team that's won championships. It's played in lots of finals. And we were the big dogs in that pool going into this tournament. And then, I understand sort of Pakistan were second fiddle to India in that pool and whatnot, and Sri Lanka as well in their pool. But we were supposed to be the big dogs in this pool, ranked highly, finalists at the last World Cup. We're always there or thereabouts in white ball cricket, and to pretty much have 2 games and a few days on the beach left at a World Cup is pretty disappointing already.
But do we look at it in another way? Do we look at it as, obviously it is sad, but do we look? You could think about it like, not be sad of what you're losing and just be happy for what you had, because what we did get to see, probably for the last meaningful spell, Bolt Southey just causing it, like running amok at the top.
Yeah.
Because you got Bolt 3 for 16, Southey 2 for 21. I mean, there's a very good chance. I mean, they might play a game against PNG, a game against Uganda, but a game with stakes. You got to think this is probably Bolt's last hurrah. I mean, he's not taking contracts. He's only going to play in these events. He might be around for like Champions Trophy and stuff like that. Southey feels like he's close to retirement, but it's still nice just to see them sort of the 1-2 punch at the top, just to remind you of what they had. That was very special.
Yeah, I mean, a throwback performance like that, it's just outstanding to see. I mean, watching along, we thought, like, genuinely, like, book us a spot in the Super 8, book us a spot in the final. Like, if we've got these guys vintage, we are, like, sweet picks. As we sort of, Monday's pod, we joked a little bit that it was all over, but up the Caps, they're still going to get it done. And I thought, up until maybe the 16th over, that was still my thinking. And then when they got to 150, it was like, oh, what's going on? I don't know. I think there's probably something to be said around the fact that if you actually look at, I don't have any stats on me, but I'd love to know the percentage of games played by individuals that aren't in this squad since the last T20 World Cup. Like, it feels like guys like, and I know there's some injuries and some guys is travelling reserves and stuff, but like, feels like Sears has played a lot of T20 cricket. Feels like Milner's played a lot. Feels like guys like Seifert have played a lot. So it'd be interesting to see like what percentage of playing time in the last like 2-year span leading up to the tournament is actually missing from this squad. Because I think like what these tournaments are starting to show is if you're not playing consistent cricket, it can be hard to just show up and turn it on, especially out of season. I think if this was in if this was March, if this was April, if this was February, I don't think we'd have this problem if we didn't have a series, because at least all these guys are playing some domestic cricket. They would have played a recent sort of game. But yeah, I think it feels a bit frustrating that a culmination of things have sort of come together to be the end of the era and be the last time we'll sort of see it. Yeah, so I don't know. It feels it's bittersweet, definitely, because it's like it's good to see them do it again, but it feels like with just like some few tweaks and a few guys playing a bit more cricket, obviously they've shown the skill's still there, the ability's still there. So yeah, just a few tweaks and we could be 2 from 2 and romping home, or at least one today, and sort of have some control.
Might need a rebrand. That might be it. Right, should we touch on the West Indies before we move on? Otherwise, we'll just seem completely biased. Because I think they are proving themselves to be quite the threat in this tournament. Obviously, home conditions, raucous crowd. Now the whole tournament's going to be in the West Indies. It's going to be quite exciting for them if they go deeper in this tournament. They haven't beaten New Zealand in an ICC event since 2012 when they won the T20 World Cup. You know, like teams don't normally recover from 30 for 5. So for most barometers, that's a sign of a good side if you can turn that into a comfortable win, and it was comfortable. I feel like they're the only team that has like power all the way through their batting lineup, where it's like you felt like even though we were sort of taking wickets regularly, they were sort of scoring quickly in that back end, and that sort of eventually they sort of wore us down. They just always have the ability to find the rope, and then their attack just got the job done. You know, they've got good spinners, they've got good seamers, they move the ball, obviously a good fielding side. There's a lot to like from the West Indies.
Oh yeah, massively. Look, the West Indies are always they're sort of the opposite of the Caps, I think, in terms of they can be disjointed for whatever reason. They can, have a few guys in squads around the world and not really playing. And I wonder if it's just the nature of their sort of setup in terms of that they encompass 3 to 4 countries, and whenever they get brought together, they're not playing a lot together. So, but yeah, I mean, they've just got match winners, don't they? Like they've just got guys that can win games and are entertainers in doing it. I mean, you can only face what's bowled to you, but Rutherford, I think he must have scored nearly 40 himself off the last 2 overs. Like it was unbelievable to watch. Like
yeah,
they've just got game winners, and as you say, they're at home. They're a momentum team and they're a tournament team. So once they get a bit of momentum behind them, again, there's a reason they've won a lot of trophies at ICC events, because they get this roll on and they're hard to stop, especially with a bit of confidence and some winning behind them.
Yeah. Nice. Right. Okay. Let's move on to our good sector, the something good sector of the week or the last few days. I've got 5 nominations. Let me rattle them off to you, and then Jacko, you pick out one that tickles your fancy. I'm going to bring up the clutchness of South Africa, who may be sort of turning the corner on their chokingness, because their top 4 has been they've been 58 for 4, and they won that game. They're 12 for 4, they won that game. They're 23 for 4, they won that game. So they're winning games when their top 4's not doing anything, so that's a good sign. I've got Markram's catch to win the game, 6 off 2 Bangladesh needed, and then to catch it on the rope. I think that's quite special. I've got Mohammad Amir bouncing back from the infamous super over against USA with 2 for 23 off 4. Against India, 2 for 13 off 4 against Canada. Adam Zampa, 4 for 12 off versus Namibia. Just man of the matches for fun. And then just the story of Netravolka continues. He's, to take Kohli and Sharma against his old country folk. I think that's pretty impressive. Anything you want to expand on there, Jacko?
Yeah, I mean, Netravolka's sensational. What, again, we talked about it Monday. What a story. Yeah, I mean, to get both those guys, just phenomenal. But I know I'm not going to double down just yet. but one of the great stories, I think, to come out of this World Cup. So that's definitely one of the goods. I don't mind South Africa. I think if they're showing a bit of mettle order 1 through 8, as we said, the last World Cup, their top 4 was sort of their strength, and they folded over a few times. But I think if they can get runs from the bottom half of the lineup, they are in a much better position to sort of make some noise at this World Cup. They sort of haven't. I think they're going a little bit under the radar. Not
the winning
really
ugly.
been, not really being talked about. But I'd take a couple of wins like that for the Caps. That's for sure. It feels like the length of the tournament. Like if you just get into that Super 8, there's still a lot of cricket left, and if their top 4, who are all good players, can figure it out. I think that's, for me, that's just their side expanding and getting better and better. I think's the good. So they've been 4 for not many most games. So give me South Africa figuring out for their bottom to middle order.
I like that. I'll land on just to touch on Adam Zampa. I think he deserves a good shout out. I think he's the unsung hero of the Australian side. I think he's arguably the most valuable player in that side, and it's proving so, because that is the second man of the match in a row, 4th all time at T20 World Cups. That puts him 3rd equal on that list. Kohli obviously top spot 7.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's got a more crucial bowler in their team than Aussie does with Zampa. I feel like every other team, if they lost their version of Zampa, they'd be able to scramble, but it doesn't really feel like Aussie would have another option there to do what he does. I think he is so crucial to them as a side, as a T20 side. I talked to him about it Monday, so I didn't want to, continue to glaze him, but yeah, he's phenomenal, and he is pivotal to that side.
100%. There's something bad for the last few days. Just a bit of a quirkiness of having games in America. You've got to explain to American security guards about the sight screens, because they've got no clue. Pakistan Canada game in New York, obviously we've got American security guards walking in front of sight screens, not knowing people yelling at them, not knowing what's going on. Is that a rule we need to relax a little bit in another market? I don't know. Sri Lanka getting booted out of the tournament after a rained out game. Yeah, it's just niggly. Namibia getting their score chased down in 24 minutes. That's when you put it like that, that's quite a short amount of time. And I've got a couple more. I've got Namibia captain Erasmus. He took 16 balls to get off the mark. That's crazy. I don't know how that's possible. I didn't actually see it, but I'd imagine that's really poor. And then we've just to touch on Kohli, because I think it's not a major, but it's something to be wary of. His form into this T20 World Cup: 1 off 5 against Ireland, 4 off 3 against Pakistan, and none off 1 against the USA. He's a class player. I'm sure he'll bounce back. I know it's been tough conditions, but it's just something to note. Jacko, anything stand out for you?
As you say, Kohli's form, a little bit concerning, but I think they're so good, he probably hasn't elevated himself yet. He probably hasn't actually gotten that, right, it's time that I need to be the guy here. Something to monitor, but give the benefit of the doubt. Sri Lanka going home on a rained out game, it's niggly, but I don't think they were getting there anyway. They'd lost the two. It feels like you had to win one of the games against one of the two other good teams in your pool. But still just a waspy thing to, be fizzed up to try and win a certain way, and then the rain pours out. But, Julian Erasmus taking 16 balls to get off the mark. That's horrendous. That's terrible.
I need someone to clip up ball by ball. I need someone to clip it up ball by ball.
Yeah, get that clip, because I need to see it.
Just every ball, just clip it. It reminds me of remember it was a big deal when Steve Smith took 30 odd balls to get off the mark. 16 balls is It's almost 3 overs. It's
Yeah,
almost three overs.
it's nearly a fifth, or like, sorry, it's about a sixth of your innings. It's outrageous. Yeah, I mean, to put his innings into context, I mean, he's 36 off 43. He just took one off his hit first ball. He's 36 off 27, and that's a pretty decent innings in a total of 70. And then, I mean, yeah, Aussie chasing that in 24 minutes is out the gate. That's obscene. But yeah, maybe it would have been 5 minutes if Gerard hadn't kept the side together. So be interesting to see what the role was going into that and how hard he actually tried to get off strike. But I'd like to think if you were trying to score a run, you could get at least one in 16 attempts.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about the Namibian game because I think that's the only one that's sort of like the real bad stuff. I think there's a bit of Namibia chat, and that's a shame because obviously I think they're improving, but it's tough when you get demolished like that. When because normally when if you get skittled and you sort of make the other team work for it, then you can be like, oh, it's tough pitch. But when the other team chases it down in 5.4 overs, it's tough to argue. It's just like, well, they were on the same pitch we were on, and we got 72 all out, and they chased that in 5.4 overs. So it's like, what's just happened there?
I think that says a real.
More about Australia.
That's probably the biggest. Like, I don't know what the standings are for the sort of the bottom 6 to 8 teams, but it feels like Aussie Namibia is the biggest gap in talent we've seen so far.
We should do a power rankings at some point. We should do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that. Okay, let's move on to speaking of Australia. Let's move on to our segment called Domino's Decision, where we take a contentious question doing the rounds in the social media vicinity. We talk about the pros and cons and try to decide what the best decision is. It's brought to you by Dominos Pizza, who have kindly agreed to join TMC for the rest of the World Cup. Domino's are introducing the all-new Philly cheesesteak pizza for only $13. We did discuss all-time foods in the past from different countries. If you could travel, what you could have, and there was a clear top 2, and those top 2 were Philly cheesesteaks and deep dish Chicago pizzas. And we weren't sure if it was just a Hollywood thing, but they've been marketed as just basically the nicest foods on the planet. And so Domino's essentially just goes, we're going to combine them and we're going to charge you $13. That's what they're going to do. Jack, I had the pleasure last night. I tucked in. It was a late night at work. Obviously didn't have time to cook, so just pick up Domino's on the way home. A wee Philly cheesesteak pizza, some fries, some nice, lovely cheese and garlic scrolls on the side. The hype is real. The perfect treat on the way home. Had some left over for lunch today. Just a perfect sort of 1-2 combo. Very, very happy. Very, very happy. Okay, the question today is, should Australia manipulate their result against Scotland to knock England out? So here's the sort of situation. So England need to win both of their last 2 games against Namibia and Oman by plenty to overcome Scotland's net run rate. Scotland's last game is against Australia, which is after England's 2 games. If they can win that game, they're through. If they lose and their net run rate's not too bad, they're still through. So Australia have a say on whether England get through. In theory, Australia could bowl out Scotland for 100, and they could sort of drag out their chase longer than perhaps necessary to protect Scotland's net run rate and then knock out England. But the question is, should they? And is it ethical? The public is quite split. I put it onto social media. Against it was 47%, for it 53%. Now, the reasons for knocking England out. I've got 2. England are more of a threat in the tournament than Scotland. So obviously, if you can knock out England now, more of a chance to win the tournament. If you don't do that, can you really say you did everything possible to win the tournament? I don't know if you can. You had a chance to knock them out, you didn't. Reasons against it, feel like it's almost spot fixing, or feels illegal, feels genuinely illegal, and just feels bad karma. Feels feels like you're playing God a little bit, and it feels like that's going to come back and bite you. Jacko, any other thoughts about it?
Yeah. Look, I mean, we've all been in sort of club sides, or you've all played in a team where a rival or an opponent is in a position that they shouldn't be in, and you could have a position to alter, like them making a final war. We saw it in the NBA recently. I think the Cavs dropped at their last like 2 or 3 games, so they wouldn't have to play. I think it was either the Sixers or the Bucks in the finals in the first round. So yeah, I think like this gets done. That sort of impacting your seeding or trying to get someone else knocked out. It does happen, and I can't say I'm against it as such, because it's not Aussie's fault England didn't take a wicket against Scotland. It's not Aussie's fault England aren't playing well. So yeah, they're in a position where they could do it. My only issue is Hazelwood talking about it in the media. That's like, Mott's come out and
Now
said he
all
knows
eyes are on
Hazelwood.
them.
Yeah, Mott's come out and said, look, I know it could be a joke. Hazelwood's got a pretty dry sense of humour. We sort of hope he's joking about it. But if you're Aussie and you've had this chat in your sheds and you want to kick England out, you cannot have it out there. Tell Amazon Prime to get the fuck out of the sheds. Zip lips in the media. Like, this can't get out that you've done it. You have to, like, mum's the word, it has to be in-house. And then for Hazelwood to stand up there, because cricket's such a funny game where they could lose to Scotland, or Scotland's playing well and Scotland could take them close and it could knock England out. But now the ICC is going to have to get involved. Marshall's going to be under investigation. They're just, Hazelwood saying it in the media, the heat that's going to bring on this game. Unless Aussie win that by about 100 runs, they are cooked. Like, all eyes are on them. So, I mean, I'm so on the fence either way. I think if you're an English fan, it's the worst thing you could do for cricket and the sport. 100 times worse than the BSO stumping. If you're an Aussie fan, pretty funny because it's not your fault England's in a shit position and you could kick out a rival and a really good team. So, I don't have a dog in the fight. So I'm right down the middle. I don't really care. I just think Hazelwood's cooked them, because now there's going to be so many eyes on this game. It's like every bad ball, every dismissal is going to have so much weight on it now. You've almost like enticed your way into this being a close game, and you might throw it without even realizing it because you're paying so much attention and like trying to play well or not throw it that you play poorly and it's close anyway. So yeah, that's where I fall on it. I think you've just got to not talk about it if you're in the media. If you're Aussie, sorry.
I think I'm coming around that. I think if you've gone to the World Cup and your goal isn't to win, isn't just to win every game. Your goal is to win the World Cup. That's your number one goal. And here is a chance to make that an easier task. You do it, don't you? That's what you do. You just don't make it obvious. Like, all you need to, and the biggest thing is Scotland are playing really well. And I think that's what's gone under the radar. I think there's probably a genuine chance that this game is probably a lot closer than it probably has been made out into the media.
I would liken maybe not to the. I don't think the USA are as good a side as Scotland, but they played India not close, but reasonably close.
Yeah.
Without any, that if you looked at that game at the Southern tournament, you would have said India are going to bowl them out for not heaps and chase it really quick, or score heaps and bowl them out and win by 60 or 70. I think they won by 14 balls maybe off the top of my head. It wasn't close, but it wasn't it was pushed. USA gave them a good challenge. Scotland are in a position where they could play Aussie close, regardless of what Aussie try and do. So it's just, for me, it's if you're having these conversations, don't invite the cricket gods in, don't invite karma. Yes, if you can get another good side out of the way, do it. But don't let it be known.
The thing is, there's going to be a scenario where, like, say Scotland bat first. They get bowled out for whatever. There's going to be an exact over that it needs to be chased in for each team to be knocked out. So it's going to be hard not to know that sort of, like, it would be hilarious, like, just to see. I would love to have a camera on Johnny Bearso's face if Australia take 18 overs to chase 70 runs.
Yeah.
And just drag, like, just for the blow up, just for the reaction. Like,
I mean,
it'll be stumping part 2. It would be hilarious.
if Bairstow really wants to, if he's looking into post-career options and really feels like media and, entertainment is his option, he's got to stream this game on Twitch. He's got to keep this streamed. He's got to be sitting there. He's got to have the chat going. Like, that would be an unbelievable watch. If you could stream the England dressing room watching this, because you just said there's so much content now. It's so obvious when everyone's going to know exactly what they have to do in that second innings to knock India out. England out. I think, like, for me, it's like, what happens if you drop a few guys? Like, what happens if you rest guys now? Like, where is that in the, like, throwing equation for me? Because, like, yes, if you play your strongest,
it would make sense because
Have
you're
you
already
played
through. So
if you played your strongest side and you chase 80 in 19.5 overs, 2 down, like, yes, that looks a bit suspect. But if you'd never said anything and you rest 4 guys just so, there's no chance they get hurt for the next round, like, that's how you can do it and be a little bit coy about it. And, but now it's like, if they rest guys, it's like, okay, so what's the conversation now? They didn't throw the game essentially on purpose, but they might have rested a few guys. So, I think it's hard to put worms back in the can. And unfortunately, I think Hazelwood opened it at that press conference. I wonder what, like, Marsha said to him directly afterwards. I'd love to know that.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, mate. Probably cost me a couple of games here.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So let's finish off with our top 5 and our free segment. So different style of game for Jacko today. We're going for a top 5 variety, a little quicker pace. This game, I'm going to give Jacko a list of people in the top 5. So he's already going to know who's in the top 5, but he's got 3 guesses to put them in the right order. He has to guess all 5 people in one turn. After each go, I will let him know who, if any, are right. So, for example, for his first guess, he gets 1 and 3. His next guess is trying to get 2, 4, and 5. So a little bit of memory is required. The list is the most sixes in T20 World Cup history. Your top 5, in no particular order, obviously, is David Warner, Chris Gale, Joss Buttler, Yuvraj Singh, and Rohit Sharma.
So I can just pick where I think anyone is as a guess. I don't have to start at 1 and work my way down.
Well, you just have to give me the order. So you have to go, like, here's my order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll tell you which
how many
ones
I've got right. Okay.
Yeah.
Singh had a pretty good over once, but
Yeah,
I'm going to go.
6 of them were 1 over.
Yeah. Okay. Sharma's been. This is tough because there's a few guys there that I'm just going to go my gut order of Sharma, Gale, Butler, Warner, Singh.
Sharma, Gale, Butler,
Warner, Singh.
Okay, you've got Singh in the 5. That's correct.
Yeah. I was going to guess that.
Okay.
I'm happy I got that.
And yeah, just Singh. Yeah, just Yuvraj in the 5.
Okay. Who did I have? Sharma, Gale, Butler, Warner, Singh. So I'm going to go Gale, Butler, Warner, Sharma.
Gale's right in the 1.
Yeah.
and Warner's correct in the 3. So you've got one last go, and you've got Sharma and Butler, and you've got to get them in the right order for 2 and 4.
So it's Gale, Sharma, Warner, Butler, Singh.
Gale, Sharma, Warner, Butler, Singh. That is
Not
correct.
bad.
That is correct. Gale with 63 sixes and 31 bats. Rohit Sharma, 39 sixes and 38 bats. Warner, 37 and 37 bats. Butler, 35 sixes and 28 bats. And Yuvraj, 33 sixes and 28 bats. Not bad, Jacko. Not bad. Not bad. You feel like you're struggling a bit after the first one?
No, I felt like Sharma, Gale, Warner was, or I felt like Sharma and Gale were sort of going to be one or two,
Yeah.
and up there. Like I felt like that was probably like if I'd gone, I was sort of thinking on just amount of World Cup games,
Yeah.
and I sort of was, but then I thought Butler's got some big runs too, and he hit sixes, so it was like trying to weigh up which one it was, but yeah, I think those 3 I was pretty happy eventually were going to be the top 3. It's just where the Butler sort of snuck in there with some big innings, but yeah, it's a good list. It's good players in that list. Be a handy
Good
top
players.
5.
Would be. I've got a wee fun fact for you. Gurbaz from Afghanistan, he has 21 sixes, but he's only batted 10 times. So he's not that far off the top 5, and he's only played in like 2 World Cups. So look out for that one.
How good bars?
Our Gurbaz. Anything else, Jacko? Or should we sign off for another episode?
Nah, I think, hopefully the Caps just a couple of get right games and smash some minnows would be nice to see. Yeah, got to figure out someone to root for the rest of the World Cup, I suppose. Maybe USA. What a story.
Yeah. Ride USA. Ride USA.
Yeah.
Righto, that is us for another episode. Thank you, Jacko. Thanks to listeners. Thanks to Dominos. And we'll catch you guys. Well, we'll see you when we see you. Put it that way.
Thanks, mate.